Hey everyone, Lisa Salvatore back with another quick video about the current energy of the month of July and what is going on. So today that I'm recording this video, it is Thursday, July 21st. We are just about to enter Leo season. Tomorrow, July 22nd, the sun will enter the sign of Leo, the sign of its rulership where it loves to be. Happy birthday to all of the Leos of the zodiac. It is your season, your time to shine. Leo is ruled by the sun. It is a very regal sign, very courageous, very bold, very heart-centered, and very expressive. Leo itself does actually rule over the heart. And so we're definitely feeling a lot of energy right now on every single level. But let me back up a moment, because we are in the middle of a lot of energy, a lot of energetic shifting. I've done a few videos already for the month of July, which I've linked below in case you missed them. There's one that covers the beginning of July, which you may still want to go back and listen to. And then there's one that I did about the end of this month going into the beginning of August for the Mars, Uranus, and North Node conjunction. You definitely want to check that out. That is also linked below. But right now it's July 21st and we're kind of sandwiched in here, and I'm sure you're feeling it. We are all feeling it. Backing up to the beginning of this week, July 19th, Venus entered the sign of Cancer. And then on Tuesday, Mercury moved into Leo. Mercury is the way that we think and speak and express and communicate. And so Mercury coming out of watery Cancer and moving into fiery Leo gets a bold attitude adjustment. And so we can definitely feel more confident in our expression, which is a Leo trait to begin with. But having Mercury now in Leo, it just amplifies that energy. So Monday and Tuesday definitely of this past week definitely felt more contentious. As we move on throughout this week, there is still a lot going on, but it does lighten up a little bit, but not for long. So then on the 19th, the same day that Mercury entered Leo, Chiron also stationed retrograde. Now, Chiron is the place in our chart that speaks to where we have been wounded, either literally or mentally, emotionally. There's many different ways that that can manifest, and dependent upon your own personal birth chart, that's going to be different for everybody. But while Chiron stations retrograde, Chiron is known as the wounded healer, because basically the medicine is in the wound. So while Chiron is retrograde, which is July 19th through December, I believe, through December 23rd, actually, this is a time where we are compelled to dive into past experiences, past traumas, to deal with any unresolved traumas that we might still be carrying with us about feelings around inadequacy and victimization, and where we feel we come up short or where we feel we are not good enough. And with all this Pluto going on as well, this is really a strong time to go in and ask this question of, am I truly healed? Have I truly leaned into this, or am I continuing to put a band-aid over the wound? Am I continuing to cover this wound and act as if it didn't happen because it might be, too painful to go into it and actually feel it so that I can move forward from it? And that's what Chiron retrograde often has us doing. Whether we're conscious of that or not, we're doing it anyway because we almost can't help it. It comes up. This is really about nurturing and understanding ourselves on a much deeper level and what our trigger points are, what it is that sparks us. It speaks to our traumas, and also our trauma is our teacher. And remember, trauma is, I always say this, trauma is subjective for everybody. It's very different. What I perceive, what my soul perceives as traumatic, yours might not, okay? And so don't ever minimize the way that you feel about something, because it's how you feel. You feel how you feel. And nothing drives me more batty than when someone tries to tell me or someone else that they shouldn't feel the way they feel, or they need to get over something, or this has been this so long, get over it, it's ridiculous. Nonsense. You have the right to feel how you feel, but you also have the right to not allow it to continue to define you. That's really, really important. And with Chiron now stationing retrograde, a lot of these wounds may feel like a little bit of salt is being poured into them because it's karmic, and the main reason is to heal these wounds. The medicine is in the wound, and that is what Chiron teaches us, because Chiron was known as the wounded healer. And it's important to remember that our trauma and our pain is also our teacher when we look at it a different way and from a different perspective. And again, with Chiron retrograde, that is likely how that's going to be for you. Again, Chiron is retrograde from July 19th through December 23rd. Now today, the 21st, Eris has also stationed retrograde. And I'm going to get into that a little bit more when we talk about the new moon in the same video. But Eris is the goddess of discord. The Romans referred to her as Discordia, okay? Long story short, as the mythology goes, Eris basically started the Trojan War because she was not invited to a wedding. And the whole premise of Eris is that she wants everybody to have a voice. She wants everybody to be heard, and she has no problem taking it to the streets, okay? To make sure that everybody gets to use their voice, and every voice has a soul, and that everyone deserves to be heard. And that's really the purpose of Eris. And she does not care if she causes chaos and discord in the process of doing that, to be fair, to be just, and to be right. Now, this is important to mention because Eris has been in a square aspect since 2020 with Pluto, okay? An operational square with Pluto. And now that Eris has stationed retrograde, when planets go retrograde, the energy kind of goes inward and becomes more amplified. So people are angry, okay? We know this. Everybody wants to be heard. There's a lot of protesting going on. And while Eris is retrograde, we will definitely likely see more of that. That will be amplified as people want their rights to be acknowledged. And then tomorrow, the 22nd, like I mentioned, the sun will enter Leo around 4:07 p.m. Eastern time. So again, happy birthday to all of the Leos. Leo season tends to be a breath of fresh air. It's fixed fire. It's warm energy. It's, creative. It's bold. It's loving. It asks us to express ourselves and have fun. That's what Leo wants at the heart of it all. And Leo rules the heart. So it's all about getting in touch with your own heart, following your heart, living out in the truth and courage. That is what Leo tries to teach us, tries to show us. Leo is ruled by the sun, and the sun is the center of everything. And so the lower vibration of Leo energy is that sometimes we can think we are the center of everything, when in reality we are not, right? So it's important to remember that. It's great to have courage, it's great to be bold, it's great to be expressive. It's good to love yourself. It's great to love yourself. You should love yourself. But when it errs towards the side of selfishness and arrogance, that's when it becomes a problem. And that's the shadow side to Leo energy in its lowest vibration, okay? So we want to try to keep it up in the higher vibration, follow our heart, be good to ourselves, of course, but also be good to one another and honor each other's feelings, thoughts, and expression. Because right now, especially, there's so much division going on, and it's going to be a lot easier to fight and argue, to fight and to spar with each other. And really, if we take a step back and we look at it as, how can I actually understand this person better? How can I express myself so this doesn't turn into a fight? That really could be a great way of looking at it under these tumultuous times that we are living through. Okay, then Juno actually stations retrograde on July 25th. And Juno will be retrograde until October. Now, Juno is what represents the marriage partner in our chart, the spouse, the traits, the qualities of those that we would like to draw in. And now that doesn't mean that's always who we end up with necessarily, but that's the energy of what would be good for us or what we need mirrored back to us, traits that we lack within ourselves. But Juno can also represent betrayal in some form or fashion. So it can go a lot of different ways. And while Juno's retrograde, in Pisces, we tend to really think about what we want, need, and desire out of all of our partnership on every level. It doesn't have to be, marriage or, it could be platonic. It could also be business. I'll do a separate video on Juno retrograde because now that I'm talking about it, there's so much I can say about that. And it's going to be really amplified if you're a Pisces or if you have strong placements and points in Pisces, especially between 7 and 21 degrees, which is really, really, a large range there. But those are the degrees that Juno is going to retrograde back and forth within. And again, I'll do a separate video on that because as I'm talking about it, I'm like, this would be a good video because there's a lot to say about that. But Pisces and the mutable signs, which are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, so all of the mutable signs, but especially Pisces, will be affected by that, where you're just really doing a lot of self-reflection and analysis about the quality of the partnerships in your life. And through that analysis, you're going to come to a space where you're either going to stick with something and work on it for growth, or you're going to decide to sever something because it's just not working for you. You're going to have a lot of epiphanies and aha moments while Juno's retrograde. Again, I will definitely do another video about that. But then we get to the new moon on July 28th. And that was really the purpose of why I wanted to do this video. But there's just so much going on that I ended up going through other things. But so this new moon on July 28th is really a mixed bag of energy because on a personal level, it has the potential to be really good because we are dealing with a nice aspect between the new moon and Jupiter. And Jupiter expands things, and Jupiter is all about, faith and good fellowship and benevolence and spirituality and, truth and expansion. and compassion. You know, it's all these good things. And in Aries, it's big. It's boisterous. And we're dealing with Leo energy, which is also big and boisterous. We're dealing with fire energy here. And fire energy is hot. It's active, right? So it spreads. And so Jupiter also spreads. So Jupiter in Aries is a big energy to begin with. And what's really interesting about this new moon is that not only is Jupiter in a trine, almost exact, to the new moon in Leo, which is a supportive aspect, but it's also about to station retrograde right at the heels of this new moon, which means the energy of Jupiter is that much stronger, okay? The new moon occurs around 1:55 p.m. Eastern Time on the 28th, and then Jupiter will station retrograde around 4:37 p.m. Eastern. So Jupiter's rocking and rolling around this new moon, okay? And again, that can be really, really good for us. But with Jupiter, I'll always give that caution. We can overdo things when Jupiter is present like this, especially about to go stationary retrograde. So all in all, this new moon has the potential to be nice for us personally about what we want to manifest, what we want to bring in, what we desire, what we're working towards. It's a strong creative energy with Leo, and Jupiter is only serving to amplify that. But again, we have a mixed bag with this new moon, and so let's just get right to the chart. Okay, so here we have the Leo new moon, July 28th, 2022, 1:55 p.m. Eastern Time. It's at 5 degrees and 38 minutes of Leo. Okay, and so we see right here, we've got the new moon up here in Leo when the sun's conjunct the moon. And it's also conjunct Ceres, the great earth mother, and the goddess of crops, grains, and agriculture, and we'll get to that in a minute. And then this new moon is also in a trine over here to Jupiter. Here's Jupiter about to go retrograde, okay? We've got Saturn opposite Mercury over here, which can definitely bring in an element of misunderstanding and frustration when it comes to communication, especially online communication. There's definitely this feeling of like, you know, shadow banning that's going on, not being able to say what you want to say, maybe not finding things that you've been looking for. So that Saturn-Mercury opposition can definitely feel tense around this new moon. Now, one thing to mention about this new moon, and this is why I'm saying it's great for personal work because it's fixed. There's a lot of fixed energy going on here, okay? And fixed energy is really good for determination and perseverance and tenacity and to get things done. It's like we get very clear on what we want and we're ready to bulldoze our way forward to get what we want. What I mean by fixed is Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius are our 4 fixed signs, which we've been talking a lot about. And again, if you check out that video on the Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction, you'll get much more detail on that. So basically, the sun and moon are in Leo, which is fixed. Leo is a fixed fire sign. Then we've got Saturn over here in Aquarius. Aquarius is fixed air, okay? Then we've got Mercury also in the sign of Leo. I don't think I said Mercury. We've got Mercury up here also in the sign of Leo, fixed. And then we have Mars, Uranus, and the North Node all in Taurus, again, fixed. So this is fixed energy. So this is a very stubborn chart, okay? This is a fixed chart. This is very driven towards something. Whatever the energy is surrounding this new moon, it is hyper-focused and determined to get what it wants out of whatever it is that it wants, okay? So you're probably going to want to look to your own chart to see where this new moon falls so that you can look at that area of your life and see where you can manifest some growth and some possibility and some hope. And you'll probably find that you're actually working on something already in that area. So definitely check your chart to see where Leo falls, where this new moon will fall. And I've also got a quick video linked below on how to pull up your chart if you don't already know how to do that. So with all of this fixed energy, it brings in what we call a grand cross. Okay, a grand cross pattern is fraught with tension between all of that fixed energy, okay? It's like these planets are duking it out. They all want to have control. They all want to get what they want. And Uranus is in the mix, as we know. Uranus is always an unexpected curveball, so we just don't know how things are going to go, and that can be very, very uncomfortable and very, very unsettled. So there is a lot of tension with this chart, but also a lot of determination. And so this is why I feel so mixed up about it. Like, it's good in one hand, but on the other hand, it feels a little like very anxious, anxiety producing. But again, I think we're also feeling the build up, the crescendo of that Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction, which just is only a couple of days exact away from this new moon, and we're already feeling that. And Jupiter's in the mix, expanding all of this. Okay, and we mentioned the Saturn-Mercury opposition here, but that Saturn-Mercury opposition is squaring this North Node Mars-Uranus conjunction. It's all a part of that grand cross. And so again, that just brings in this element of tension. That's the best way I can say it. Now, Uranus over here at 18 Taurus is also squaring Mercury almost exact at 18 Leo. Uranus and Mercury both represent our mind. Mercury being our lower mind, Uranus is the higher mind. And so these two, when in contact, can be really, really thought-provoking. We can get really great ideas, answers, premonitions, things that come into us by the way of the higher mind and the lower mind connecting. But this is a square aspect, and so squares are fraught with tension. So it could be that you do pick things up that are really great that you could move forward with, but something's blocking that energy because it's a square, or you just can't quite get to it yet, or you're off the mark a little bit. So there is potential for a lot of aha moments, but also the questioning of those moments as well is very present here with this energy. Now, another thing that I want to mention, and I've mentioned this many times before in the past, in other videos, even going back a year or two, that because we're dealing, okay, so we've got this new moon, we've got Ceres over here, conjunct the new moon. Ceres speaks to, like I mentioned, it's crops, grains, agriculture, okay? There's been a lot of talk of shortages or not being able to get certain things. And remember, Jupiter's going to amplify this, guys. So there is a reason why you've heard from other astrologers, from other intuitives, whatever, hey, listen, you might want to stock up on some food items or some items that you know you cannot go without. I don't think it's going to be for very long, but you may not want to pay the prices of what it is, physically pay the price of what it is that you want or need, because it's going to be insane for a little while. That is more than likely going to happen. We may not be able to get certain things that we're used to getting, and that could be very frustrating. So that's why I'm saying, just have a little bit of extra on your shelf. Have some peanut butter. Have things that don't go bad that quickly. So just in case. That's all. It's a just in case, okay? If you're paying attention to everything going on in the world, I don't think this will be a surprise for you. And again, it's not fear-mongering. It is just reality with the way things are right now. And this chart to me does not feel fantastic worldwide. I think personally it can be worked with really well. I think on the world scale, I'm not so sure about that. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the weather. Again, because we're dealing with Mars, Uranus, the North Node, and then we bring Sedna into the mix at the 29th degree of Taurus, okay? Now, Sedna spends a long time in each sign, okay? Sedna entered Taurus in 1965 and will be there until 2024. So Sedna moves slowly, okay? And at one point, Sedna was actually in consideration to be the 10th planet, but I'll go into her mythology at a later date. But basically, Sedna represents rising up from the ashes, resurrecting, and bringing things back up in a new way. And because she's in the sign of Taurus, and because she's at the 29th degree, the anaretic degree, her energy is amplified, okay? And she's working in tandem with this North Node Mars and Uranus conjunction around this new moon. And I think that this is critical because this speaks to that whatever happens, we will come back up from it. We will resurrect. And remember, Taurus is an earth sign. Now, I bring this in because as far as the weather goes, this could be pointing to a lot of weather-related instances, situations, erratic weather patterns, which we're already experiencing. We're experiencing fires, we're experiencing earthquakes, volcanoes. These things tend to act up around energy like this. I'm hoping that it doesn't, but honestly, I think it already is. So I'm not going to say it isn't going to continue again, but whatever it is, all of these changes are ultimately going to bring us to a new earth. I mean, it's Taurus, it's earth, right? So, and the North Node's the destiny, and that's Taurus again, the North Node in Taurus, again, earth. So all that to be said, even though there's a lot going on, it does feel in some way it's going to be better overall. But who knows when and how this is going to occur, right? It's a process, and we're in it right now. And that's really all that we can do is be in it and do our part and take care of ourselves and own our own energy. Okay, so that is what is going on with this new moon. Let's talk about Jupiter's station. Okay, so Jupiter stations retrograde only a couple of hours after this new moon. Now, this is important for many reasons. First one being Jupiter is a social planet. It does deal with issues around society, the societal norms, what is going on in our world, bigger picture. Jupiter is all about growth and healing and expansion and faith and spirituality, also miracles and gratitude. So there's a lot of good attached to Jupiter. So while Jupiter is retrograde, we rethink the bigger picture. We rethink what life is all about. We look at things differently. We look at how we've been full steam ahead and what we've been working on and working towards. And now we take a step back and we say, are my beliefs still serving the person that I am today? Do I still believe in what I believed in a year ago, a month ago? That's what Jupiter retrograde has us doing. And that's on every single level, emotionally, physically, spiritually, world scale. So Jupiter will be retrograde in Aries until October, until the end of October. And then it's going to still remain retrograde, but retrograde back into the sign of Pisces. And then it will officially station direct in December. So again, Jupiter is going to be retrograde for quite a bit. So this is where we are questioning the belief systems that we currently live under and live within. And a lot of that is likely going to change throughout this process. While Jupiter is retrograde, it's all about our inner work and self-reflection on the way we see ourselves and also the way that we see the world. And more importantly, we're philosophizing and questioning the rules of our own chart where Jupiter is. So look to your chart by transit and see where Jupiter is, and then you can see what area of your life is getting lit up by the Jupiterian values. And it's been that way because while Jupiter, it's significant because, again, Jupiter, even though it's a social planet, it's still a big energy in our personal chart. We just have to understand it and its function and the way that we work within it and outside of it to get the bigger picture of what that means. So definitely check your chart and see where Jupiter is by transit, because that's going to give you an idea. That's going to show you what area you're really questioning and doing a lot of inner work and self-reflection on. Not to mention, of course, also the work you're doing on your belief system and the outside world, because that is absolutely for everybody going to be revised. How could it not be with everything going on right now, right? Okay, again, so there you have what's going on right now. I just wanted to talk about Leo season really and the new moon, and I ended up talking about what was going on surrounding it. But I think it's important because a lot of times we feel a certain way and we don't understand why. If you know astrology, of course, you will understand it. But the thing about the planets is, yes, the planets do not force anyone to do anything, okay? The planets are moving bodies of energy, right? As are we. As above, so below. And so those planets, as they traverse the sky, as they transit the sky, they also transit our own birth chart down here, okay? So yeah, they're going to be felt for everybody in different ways and at all times. The planets absolutely do hold a lot of power, and they do hold a lot of mystery, and they do hold a lot of influence. And when used properly, they can be a very, very accurate guide for wellness and awareness. Now, there are ways to use them improperly, of course, but we're not going to get into that. But as long as you're using them as guide and not gospel, there's really no harm in that. It's when we get attached to negative outcomes, doom and gloom, which sometimes is hard to shy away from, but that's when the meaning of astrology gets lost, in my opinion. I mean, of course, there are things that we cannot control. There are negative things, evil things that do happen, and we can look to the planets and say, oh my gosh, that makes sense, But overall, they're just a tremendously accurate guide to help us deal with and navigate what is going on down here and in here at any given moment when used appropriately. So anyway, take really good care of yourselves. If you haven't already checked out the beginning of July video and the end of July with the Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction, please do so, and I'll be back soon with another video for August. Take care, guys. Bye.